Very nice. Thanks so much.
Very welcome. Glad you're here.
I'm glad you're here too. And when our friends join us, we'll just tease them and pretend like they missed the best part of this whole show. How does that sound? Yeah, we're gonna have some fun. And I just got an email. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my story and why I came to be here today. And I will tell you what, this is my favorite place to be in the whole wide world. I love seminar land. So you go away from your business for a little while and you have the opportunity to think about what you really, really want. And if you want anything to be different back there when you get back home, well, you have to come to seminar land now and then, right? You have to dream and think about what you want. Now, the problem with thinking, particularly in our culture, is that it doesn't look like you're doing anything. And this is a very doing-focused culture. But if you want to make a change in your life, then it starts with thinking about what it is that you really, really want. And in seminar land, I give you permission and encouragement to think about what you really, really want. And that's what was so interesting about this friend of mine who sent me an email about 15 minutes ago. So I'm going to start with this. And he says, Ellen, I have a question for you. I've been very satisfied with my business and not motivated to make changes as far as growth. My question is that wrong? I keep very much on top of our industry and what others are doing, and he lists a couple of very high-profile service companies in his industry, all right? And I think it's great what they've accomplished, but what did they sacrifice to get there? I have dinner with my family every day. I spend Monday and Wednesdays with my kids all summer when they are off of school. I make every school event, game, camp out there is, and we take between 2 and 5 weeks of vacation every year, and I'm comfortably putting away for a nice retirement. If I'm in the office 40 hours, that's a long week, and I do this with 4 service trucks and union personnel. So what would you recommend? Should I find a way to readjust my comfort level, or do I stay just where I am? What do you think about that? Any thoughts?
Depends on what he wants.
Yeah, depends on what he's trying for.
Depends on what his goals are. I mean, if he's comfortable, then awesome.
So I will share with him what I will share with you what I shared with him is that this is the primary question I ask everybody. What do you want? What do you want? And if you work with your husband, I'm going to ask you, what do you want? If you work with your dad, what do you want? And here's what I give you my blessing. Do what you want. Do what you want. Don't let me or anybody tell you what you should do. Does this make sense? All right, so during the course of the day, I'm going to make suggestions. I'm going to share from my experience, strength, and hope. We're going to have some fun together. At least that's my intention. I'm going to be entertaining, because aren't I just darling? Yeah. So we're going to have some fun, but know that we just met, and this is a large room. So if something I say doesn't land with you, then you get to ignore it. How about that? And if something I say causes you to wonder or think or need some clarification, raise your hand and we'll talk about it. I've got slides, I've got stories, I've got information. However, what's most fun for me and perhaps most helpful for you is if you interrupt me and you bring yourself to the party and maybe even argue a little bit. Everyone else will love that. Does that make sense? All right, so we're going to have some fun and we're going to get going right now. And this will work with some folks who are just coming in out of the rain. I've got a little exercise. How many of you know most everybody who's here? How many of you, there are people that you've never met before? How many of you hate icebreakers? Perfect. This one's for you, sister. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. And you got to get up and you got to walk around, and it's after lunch, and if you don't play, you can leave. That's okay. But stay with me. Because one of the things I can provide is the opportunity to get a little uncomfortable, all right? Because that's where you may find some new direction and new desires, and then you can try them on for size. Oh, hi, look who's here, yay. All right, so here's how this exercise is going to work. It's going to get noisy and messy, I hope. But what I want you to do is follow my instructions. Let me share a little story. Everything I do anymore, I'll share my background in just a minute, but everything I do anymore is about this. What is the least amount of effort that I could exert for the biggest impact? Because we all won the lottery of time, right? We all have exactly the same amount of time every day. So what I'm looking for in my life is, what can I do that takes this much time but has a huge impact? Who thinks that's a great idea? All right, so here's a skill that I want to share that you may already know and you may not have really capitalized on, or maybe you do, but here's what we're going to do. My daddy taught me how to shake hands. Who else's daddy taught him how to shake hands? Anybody? All right, and this is how my daddy taught me how to shake hands. You look somebody in the eye and you shake their hand. All right, you don't have to pump over much. You know. All right, but you shake hands, maybe give it one pump and you look them in the eye. All right, now that is a connection. And have you noticed in the world of this, how little connection we sometimes make? Are you with me? All right, so the first part of the exercise, and I got a lot to share, so we got to move fast on this. Are you with me? Say yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so the first part of the exercise is going to be that I want you to find 3 people. Don't get going yet until I give the full exercise, and then I'll boss you around through it. The first thing you do is you find 3 people and you give them a proper handshake. Wow, that was a good handshake. Yeah. You give them a proper handshake and you look them in the eye. Find someone you don't know and just say hi and look them in the eye and connect. All right? Then the second one, I want you to look them in the eye and high five them. See if you can do that and still look them in the eye. The third one, 3 people, give them a little knuckle bump. You got that right? Bam. All right? And then the fourth, 3 people you meet, these are all different people, so that's 3 times 12. You're going to connect with 12 people. Are you with me? Say yes, ma'am. Okay. And on the last one, you're going to make up a cool handshake. You get the idea? Right? So it would go bam, something like that. Are you with me?
Kinda.
Kinda. All right. So are you clear on the task? Is there anyone who's not clear on the task? Probably these guys. There's 12 total handshakes with 12 different people. The first 3, kaboom, traditional. Second one, high five, 3 times. Third one, bump. And then the fourth one, you're going to make up something cool. Are you with me? On your mark, get set, go. Get up, walk around. Come on, chop, chop. Good. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh, I hear the high fives. I hear the high fives. I'm loving that. Look at you. Look at you. And you didn't think you were going to like this. Okay, now you're the bumps, the knuckle bumps. Oh yeah, all right, let's get creative. Let's see the made up handshake. Whoa, okay, that was good. Loved that. Oh, love it. All right, this gentleman right here. I'm pointing to you. Yep, don't turn around. It's you. What's your name? Jim. Jim, you got really creative with the last handshake. So what I want you to do is find one of your handshake partners and come on up to the front of the room. Come on, let's give it up for Jim. Yeah. Come on. All right, Jim, bring a participant up to the front of the room and let's demonstrate a handshake. All right, let's see your handshake, and when they're done, we're going to give them a huge round of applause. Bam, bam. Oh, elbows. Woo! Yeah! All right, well, high five to you. High five to you. Thank you very much, gentlemen. That was it. That's all we had to do.
That was easy.
Yeah, a little icebreaker, a little something to get us moving around after lunch today. All right. Well, thanks for playing. And you were all over the place. I don't like icebreakers, and you made friends. Thank you for that. All right, so is knowing how to shake a hand an important skill? Yes. All right. I'm going to do a little survey here to get a feel for the room, and here's one question I'm going to ask. How many of you are business owners? Oh, most. But how many of you also are not the owner yet and are professionals in the organization? Okay, all right. So that's great. So I'm going to do my best to accommodate everyone in the room and make everybody feel uncomfortable. One of the things is, can these guys go out and start their own business? Have you ever had somebody who worked for you went out and start their own business? Yeah. Yeah, is that okay in this great country? Can you do that? How many of you owners used to work for someone else and went and started your own business? All right, so one of my philosophies, and that's what you get today, is that people get to do what they want. What they want. And one of the challenges I may lay out to the owners in the room today is that if you play a good enough game, they may want to work for you. Are you with me? Because can we get them to do anything? Can you get anybody to do anything? No. Who are you in charge of? That's it. How easy is that? Isn't that great? So the only person you have to do is you, which makes it really easy. And then if you play a good enough game, the people who work with you may want to stay and help you grow that business, and that would be pretty rockin' right? That'd be cool. All right, so let me tell you how I came to be so bossy. My first job was when I was 14 years old. My sister got me the job handing out cheese samples at the mall during Christmas time. And it was fantastic. There was food, there were people, and I got paid, and I loved it. And I was a troublemaking fence testing employee from day one. So what does a fence testing employee mean? Who knows what I mean by when I say that? Yeah, see, stretch the limits. Anybody had a fence tester work for them? Yeah, still work for you? Okay, all right. I got fired a few times. I quit a lot, and last count, I think I've had like 100 jobs. And I bring this up because I still have the sensibility of that troublemaking employee. So when I work with you and we talk together, I'm the one who's thinking, no, let me tell you how that's really landing. That's not going to go over. You're going to pay them less than you did last week? Let me tell you what they're going to think about that. So I still have that sensibility. And I've done a zillion things. I used to throw bombs off mountains and do avalanche work as a ski patroller. I was a windsurfer instructor, and I've had about a zillion jobs in the restaurant. And before the day is over, I'm going to tell you about the best boss I ever had, and it was a manager of a coffee shop. All right, so that's something to look forward to. But I've had a lot of jobs, and I have an employee's sensibility. All right, and I've also been a business owner. I got thrust into the family business once upon a time. I married a guy named Hot Rod. So what's your name? Hot Rod. Okay, you'll do. I introduced him to my mom. His name's Hot Rod. She's like, what? And he's a plumber. He's a plumber. And I thought plumbers made a lot of money. I thought that was a selling feature of my husband, Hot Rod the plumber. But I got to tell you, there's something about a tradesperson I really love, because I don't have any of those skills. All right, like if I were on that show Survivor, I would die. When I was growing up, we called people. My dad wasn't handy. When I flushed the toilet, I thought it was a miracle when it disappeared. And you know what I learned? from my husband, Hot Rod the plumber, it is a miracle. It is amazing to me that he keeps good water from bad water, that he prevents more disease than doctors have ever cured. Right? And then I started to meet him and his friends, other trade people, and the HVAC guys out there. They make weather. Isn't that a miracle? Isn't that amazing? See, I don't know if you see that sometimes. You guys are lightning wranglers. That just blows my mind.
Can you go to our customers' homes?
Yeah, right? And shouldn't we beat the drum of this? Right? Because we're going to talk about money. I'm going to share what I got. I got some good content. But the bigger issue here in plumbing and HVAC and in restoration work and septic work and drain cleaning and all of these concepts, the biggest issue with tradespeople is a lack of self-esteem. Are you with me? Right? And don't you see it in your guys? At some point in 7th grade, they got steered to blue collar versus white collar, that you're not smart enough. I had one of my clients tell me today with tears in his eyes, you don't understand, I didn't graduate from high school. It doesn't matter. The smartest, bravest, kindest, nicest, most generous people I know are tradespeople. Are you with me? Say yes. Yes. Okay, so I tell you this because I ended up going into the family business, and this is what I discovered. So on my watch, here's my motivation. I think you deserve to make a ton of money doing this work. It's that important. Okay, so on my watch, I'm going to help you. Fair enough? Okay, so let me tell you a little more about my story. So I get into the family business because at this point now, I have so much electronic on me, and I have a lot of energy that if I burst into flames at any moment, please someone get that on video. All right, good. I feel the energy of this. Okay, so what happened is my husband had a partner, a best friend. They met when they were 8 years old, and they were buddies. All right, and they started a company called Hot Rod and Yawks, because the other fellow's name was Richard Yawks, and everybody called him Yawks. So they cleverly named their company Hot Rod and Yawks, which is why it's nice to have a decent brand, right? Okay, so Hot Rod and Yawks, plumbing, heating, and solar, best buddies. They've got this business. Now, my husband's a real laid-back guy. He can go all day without saying 2 words. But Yawks was not like that. Yawks is a big personality, a lot of energy, worrier. And Yawks would fuss about everything. One day, Yawks came up to me and he said, I hate this. I hate you, I hate Hot Rod, I hate our customers, I hate our employees. I've had it. And he had a really stressful week, about 100 hours worth. It's a Friday afternoon. And I'm kind of a Pollyanna. I turn to him and I go, oh, you'll feel better tomorrow. It's okay. Get a good night's sleep. You'll be good. Well, the next day was Saturday and he went to the hospital. And on Sunday, Yawks died. At age 33, he wound himself into a health crisis and the guy punched out. Now, I share this, and you don't have to raise your hand, but how many of you or someone you know is absolutely sacrificing their health for their business? All right, so on my watch, I'm not going to let you take this so seriously. Because the last words that Yawks said to me, I'm not making this up, the last words that Yawks said to me are, if I don't do it myself, it'll never get done. And then he died. And I've got to tell you, it all got done. In fact, I don't even have a memory of there being a hiccup. Just so you know. But what I do remember, and this was an owner of the company, a busy guy, a principal, it may not have gotten done his way, but it got done. And I bring this up because what we did miss was Yawks and this goofy laugh he had. He's like 6'6" with this big afro, a blonde hair. It was just the best guy on the planet and my husband's best friend. So after the initial shock and grieving, this is when I do one of the dumbest things I've ever done in my life. I've done a ton of dumb things, every dumb thing you can imagine in business and in life, but here's one. I turn to my husband and I say, I got an idea. I'll come into the business. I'll quit my real job and I'll come work for you. It'll be great. You turn the wrenches, I'll count the money, and we'll get rich. Now, I have, at this point, a degree in business administration. I graduated at the top of my class. I have tons of business experience. I'm on a fast track with this restaurant chain that I work with, moving up the ladder, and I quit that job and the salary and the benefits and the vacation and the people to cover me and all that. And then I go work for my husband. Does anybody else have a similar story? I'm seeing some hands like this. Okay. So I quit my job, I go to work with my husband, and it is awful. Because now that we don't have my salary, we don't have the money. And Yox, bless his heart, left the financials, which were his responsibility, in a bit of a mess. So in school, the financials that they had me look at were all neat and tidy and in the workbook. Nobody taught me what to do if the financials were a mess. So I don't know what I'm doing, and I go down for the third time, and I find a mentor in the pages of a magazine. Now, I write articles for PHC News, which is a plumbing company, but everything that I say is going to apply to the service industry, so we're both well on the same page, okay? But I write in the magazine, which is kind of a full circle moment for me, because once upon a time, as Hot Rod and I are hating on each other, I flip to the pages of a magazine and I read a column about how much should a contractor charge by a guy named Frank Blau. Does anybody here know Frank? You've met him? Did he yell at you? You're not a slug. Okay, so that's good, okay, because he has some, slug is an unkind term he uses to talk about someone who's not charging enough. So congratulations, mister. That's an accomplishment to be not a slug. But my mentor, Frank Blau, wrote this column, and I wrote him a letter. Dear Mr. Blau, please help me. And I spend a little paragraph telling him we don't have any money and we're hating on each other. Then I spend 2 pages telling him why all the things I just read in this article I can't do. You don't understand my cheap customers. You don't understand my good-for-nothing employees. Blah, 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 whine, whine, whine. So I ship off this letter. Don't we do that, though? We reach for help, and then here's why I can't take it. All right, so I ship off the letter, and if a couple days later, he calls me up. I get a call. Hello? And I hear, honey. He tells me where my head is, and it is a dark place. Let me just put it that way. This is right out of the gate. I haven't even said hello yet. Shut your business down. You think you're so smart, college degree, all that experience. This is the worst kind of slug because you think you know it all. All right? So absolutely humbled, humiliated, and angry, I hang up the phone, and I end up calling him back the next day, totally laid low. Please help me. I'm starving. I can't do this anymore. And he takes me under his wing, and he helps me learn how to make money. And he tells me what I'm going to share with you over the next few hours. Does this sound like a good way to spend an afternoon? Yeah. So we're going to have some fun. This is an experience of one, but it changed my life, and it changed the life of the people I work with and others across the globe. Because once someone has helped you, don't you feel honor-bound to help other people? All right. That's where this all came from. So I'm going to tell you the story of how we raised our prices and what we did, and I'm going to intersperse it throughout the rest of the day. But there's one story I want to make sure I tell, and I want someone to help me remember to tell it. So it was the first day that we started doing flat rate pricing at a significantly higher price. Is there anyone here facing that moment in their own career? Or is everybody here flat rate already? You're all flat rate already? Is there anybody here who knows they have to significantly increase their prices? Oh, good, you all will by the end of today. All right, who wants to help me remember this story anyway? Let me put it this way. Who here has guys who are not going to be excited about a price increase? Technicians. All right, they get nervous. And it has, you'll remind me, thank you, and it has everything to do with their self-esteem and with the skills that we give them to make sure it happens. So remind me and I'll share that tale before our day today is done, either in this session or the next one. All right? Now let's see what we have for time. My alarm's going to go off at 2:40 and then we can decide on the time. We started a little late to accommodate the rain and I'm fine doing whatever y'all want me to do. Okay, Joel? So you just let me know. All right, so since then, we turned our little company around, which was great. Write this down if you're taking notes. It's the most important thing I'm going to say all day. Money buys options. Money buys options. When you have money, you have more options. You always have choices. You always have options, but money buys you more options. If money can get you out of a problem, you don't have a problem anymore. Does this make sense? So as we turned our company around, we significantly raised our prices and we started to make more money. And this is my, we could end the seminar right now. If you went home or doubled or tripled or quadrupled or quintupled your prices, would you make more money?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's a good idea. Do you deserve to make it doing the dangerous work that you do?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so I want you to, in seminar land, base yourself in that thought. All right, what if I doubled my prices? Because it's just imagination. You don't have to do it out there yet. But if you're going to do it out there, you want to practice it and think about it in seminar land. Is this making sense? So try it on for size during the course of the day. Let your fear kind of mellow out about it and see. You get to do what you want, but I want you to consider that because that's what changed my life. That's how we went from being deep in debt to making lots of money. So as we started to turn our company around, and I'll get some specifics as we go through our day together, as we started to make more money, I turned to my husband and I said, this is getting better. We're not fighting all the time. We're making more money. We're getting out of debt. We're stockpiling some money. Life is good. And what I'm thinking is, we have 4 trucks at this point. What if we had 10? What if we had 20? Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. I'm starting to add this up. And I turn to my husband, Hot Rod the plumber, and I say, what do you want? And he says to me, I want to work all by myself. Ouch. Now, looking back on that, I can't even begin to tell you how emotional, how awful, how devastating this time in our life was. And I don't know why I made it such a big deal, because now it's so clear to me, do what you want, right? It was his company. There's room for one at the top. Ouch. And if you buy what that one person is seeing, there's a place for you perhaps, but we get to do what we want. Are you with me on this? So often, I once worked with a client who said his dad was on a totally different page than him, and I said, so what's your game plan? And he said, I'm going to wait till my dad dies. Well, his dad was 68. Now, you can go any time, but the dad could live for another 30 years. That's no way to live your life. Okay, so Hot Rod says, I like to work all by myself. So we went through a struggle at that point, and we decided to sell our business to our employees. Huge, huge win. Huge win. And then I went through a midlife crisis. Now, how can I serve? What's my purpose? How can I be of service? And it was really interesting how I had to stop blaming my lack of success on somebody else. Do you get that? Do what you want, and that will go away. It took me a long time to learn some of these lessons. I'm old. I make it sound so easy now, right? But this is some of the stuff that I've learned along this journey. So this is where I started to think, well, how can I help? I'm going to teach what I know. I learned how to read and use financial reports. I learned how to clean up financials if they're a big slinky knot mess. I learned how to put a little business plan together and ask the big questions. What do you want? Why do you want it? How much money do you want to make? The things that we did at our company, I started to share with other mom-pop shops. I started to write for magazines and do seminars. And along the way, as it goes, in my mind, I had set the intention of running a big company, because that's what I wanted. And so I had put that seed out there once upon a time. It wasn't going to happen with Hot Rod and Yachts. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I just started to take steps along the way with that intention out in the future, and lo and behold, stuff just appears before you. Have you ever had something like this happen? You set a dream, you don't know how it's going to happen, but all of a sudden it reveals itself. Well, what happened is I was doing a seminar like this, and at the end of the seminar, I was asked to be the president of Benjamin Franklin Franchising, another franchise organization. And I said, sure, and then ran to the store and got a book called Franchising for Dummies, because I certainly didn't know what I was doing. And I worked with that organization in 2002, and we went from 0 to 47 franchises in about 2 years, and I've got the scars to show for it. And I had that adventure. But then you get to do what you want. The next career move at that organization wasn't going to work for me and my family. I was going to be required to move. I live in the country, near Nixa, Rogersville, Missouri. And I said, I want to stay where I am. So I hung up my shingle and I decided to do something else. So I've been a franchisor. I'm working with a company that we're franchising in the drain cleaning industry. I've worked in every group that you've heard of, Nexstar, QSC, PSI. As my friend Bob Hope says, I do shows for all religions because I'd hate to blow the hereafter on a technicality. That's what Bob Hope, the comedian, said, and that's how I feel about working in these industries, in the service industry. On my watch, all I want you to do is get what you want. All right, that is my sole purpose. That's why I'm here today, and thank you so much for asking me to speak and to share from this one person's experience. There you go. Okay, there's my big 80s hair and high-waisted pants there. There's Hot Rod, and there's my son Max, who's now 29. All right, that's Hot Rod and Yachts. All right, and the reason why I do what I do is to expand freedom. Because when you have a business of your own that works, if you have financial freedom and lifestyle freedom, your small business resonates sanity across the planet. How cool is that? So you make your peace with yourself. You create a good family environment. And then you expand that into a business that works. Your small business is no small thing. This is why I do what I do. I share this because at some point when he said, "Who is she?" nobody knew. So I figured I had to tell my story. Fair enough? All right, so here's our plan. Here's what we're going to do. Why are we here today? Just to make sure you're in the right room. We're here to learn how to make more money. Are you with me? Say yes. Yes. Okay, good. We're going to learn how to get to KFP. KFP stands for a known financial position. All right? I'm going to teach you how to understand where the money goes. Where did the money go? We're going to address that. Got a lot of alphabets for you. We're going to dig into the FQC, which is a one-page dashboard report that'll tell you everything you need to know about the financial position of your company. I think you're going to like it. I'm going to tell you a story about Susie, and I'm going to give you a freebie. So that's my outline for today, and it could change depending on what you bring to the party. Fair enough? Okay, so let's start by getting rid of some of the myths. Here's a myth. You must charge the going rate, that you must charge what other people in your neighborhood charge. How many of you are struggling with this one? Are you over it? Yeah, we're over this one. Okay. Lower overhead to make more money. Technically, this is true. If you cut costs, you could make more money. But what's our number one cost in business? Labor, people. So they're going to make less. How does that sit with you? Not very well. Okay. No, but these are some of the things that we may struggle with, or maybe our team members do. Here's one. Profits and principles don't mix. This one might be a little more insidious, and I want you to explore this. Because again, I don't know you. I'm just trying to get, some connection here. If you're sitting here and you're thinking, I wish I made more money. I wish I could get out of this boatload of debt that I've got. I wish cash wasn't so tight every month. Okay. One of the things that may be tripping you up is that you might have this niggling belief that if you were to be wildly successful, you would somehow have to drop your principles. You know, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, for instance. Does this make sense? Right? Because what I know is that in the contracting world, he hasn't got a great reputation for paying his subcontractors. All right? And so if that's what I associated with it as what it would take to be really successful, would I have to be like him, that might trip me up. Are you with me? So may I suggest, this is what I've discovered in my life as a business owner, as a franchisor, as a business consultant, that profits and principles not only mix, profits allow you to maintain your principles. Because people, good people, do really dumb things when they run out of money. Like they don't pay their payroll taxes. Does this make sense to you? So you are more likely to drop your principles when your back is against the wall financially. People I know who've gotten ripped off by an employee, that is a good employee who hit a rock in the road and then did something stupid. 9 times out of 10, that is the situation. Are you with me? So the more money you make, money buys options, money allows you to buy yourself out of a problem. So the opposite is true on that myth. And here's the last myth, and I want you to really embrace this today, that you gotta work hard. No, you don't. I will tell you that the most successful business people I know, successful by their own yardstick, are folks who have time to answer your call, time to go home and meet their kids. Like my friend I read the email from today, right? You don't have to work so hard, but you can let your team in on the game and they can help you as you grow your company. Fair enough? All right, so let's get started. So have we met? Some of us have met before today. All right, now I'm going to do a little bit of just on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being I totally understand the financials, know what my assets from my elbow, I know all that. I could probably take a company public, I got this. With 1 being I don't even look at my balance sheet, I really don't know what you're talking about. Raise your hand up, raise 1 hand up with either a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Go ahead and kind of give me an idea. So 4s, good. 2s, all right. 1, fair enough. 5s, okay, this is good. So here's the challenge for the 5s today. Everything that I'm teaching you, 4s and 5s, you could teach somebody else. You could teach your team. You don't have to be my friend calls this an information hog, right? You could share this. And some of the things that I'm going to share with you today are great tools for you to use to show somebody else how to do it. Okay, so kind of get your head around that today, because I'm not going to dazzle you with something you've never seen before. Make sense? So that I'm going to encourage you to find a challenge in that for those of you who are 4s and 5s. And those of you who are 1 or 2s, hey, some of what I say may go flying over your head today, but if you want to play golf, you go to a group lesson, right? You're still going to have to go play golf. You might need a private lesson, and you've certainly got plenty of help at the Mr. Electric team here who's just dying to help you learn this stuff, which is super cool. All right, so if I can learn it, anybody can learn it. I'm kind of dyslexic. I have no attention span at all. I don't like spreadsheets or numbers. But I was super motivated because I was tired of being broke. And that might be what you need to get off the hump. So everybody stand up for a minute and just like let's get the energy back in the room. And I've got another little question for you. All right, stay standing. If you physically can't stand or have a baby in your lap, you're welcome to stay seated. Okay. All right, so stay standing. If you look at your financial reports once a year, you can stay standing for a moment. Now, if you look at your financial reports by the 15th of the following month, you can stay standing. Otherwise, sit yourself down. Okay. All right, now, If you look at your financial reports at least once a week, the balance sheet and the profit and loss, then you can stay standing. Ooh. Who do we have here? Interesting. All right, take a look at the guys the people who are still standing, women and men. And these are the guys you want to sit with at break or go find during dinner. And let's give them a round of applause. Because I'm going to, and a high five over there, very good. Because I'm going to set this standard for you. And for 4s and 5s now, I got a little challenge for you. If you don't look at the financials until the game is over, until the next month, you lose your ability to change the outcome while the game is on. Does this make sense? So over there, you two who are chatting with each other, let me laser point right into your eyes. Okay, are you two together? All right, are you a husband-wife team? All right, now how did you figure this out? How did you get to do that? Like get the financials every week? Do you do the books? I mean, this is a stereotypical question, but do you do the books?
We needed to make sure we had money to pay bills.
You needed to make sure. So you fell into a hole and you didn't want to do that anymore? No. Do you meet once a week? You stayed on top of it. You didn't even dig a hole. That's really smart. Really smart. So kudos to you. Did this come naturally to you, or are you a technician? No. What are your names? Francis and? Robert. Okay, Robert, what did you think of the numbers? Did these come naturally to you? Were you into it?
I'm really into the numbers.
That's awesome.
I wish I could look at it every day.
Okay.
When I was whispering to her, now I want to see it every day.
Now you want to see it? Okay, and let me share this just as another tip for, I'm going to give you some advice sometimes. Once a week is an awesome standard. And the problem with once a day is that puts a lot of pressure on your bean counting team that may not need to be there. All right, so if he at 10 o'clock in the evening says, what's our cash position? I might suggest that's a boundary that you don't have to hold to. You know what I mean?
Well, what if that's all she does?
Oh my goodness. Live to serve, honey. See, I think at some point you get to turn it off.
Maybe you just got in trouble.
Yeah. Good job. So my suggestion is once a week, and that you make a formal meeting about it. That you meet, say, Tuesday at 10. And here's the deal. At Tuesday at 10, you're ready. They're caught up. They're up to date. You've got the reports. I've got some cool stuff I can show you. You're ready for the meeting. You don't miss it. You don't call in late. You're there. And you save your questions for that meeting so that you're not torturing him at 8 o'clock at night. What's this check for? Does this make sense? So you make it formal. That's one of my favorite words, formal. And then if it is a serious situation with cash flow, you might want to check more often than once a week. But other than that, once a week is a really nice standard. Then you show up and you answer her questions. That way she doesn't have to go track you down or put Post-its on the back of the bathroom door or any of that stuff. Okay, you got some questions?
Yeah, I would love to look at my financials once a week.
Once a week?
Yeah, every Tuesday, but it just seems like we have a problem getting all the information together.
Yeah.
I mean, is that just because we're underworked or, overworked?
Yeah.
Or,
That's because you are not expecting it.
yeah.
You're not disciplined to do it. Not because the task is beyond you.
Well, I don't do it, but I mean, I don't.
Who does it? Do you do it?
No, I have an accounting.
Oh, you have accounting do it. Then they're not doing a great job. All right, and so you can say, and this may be the most important thing you get out of this, I went to this seminar, I talked to this lady, she said there's no reason why I shouldn't have up-to-date financials once a week, and I would like to have that. I'd like to know what I'm looking at, and I'd like to have that done by Tuesdays. What could we do together to make that happen? And some of you are just you're not having the conversation with I call it the bean team, with the bean team that's going to allow you to do that. Like you don't know what to ask for. We were talking about this. You don't necessarily have to fire your accountant yet, but you might want to raise your standards Does this make sense? And what I would expect to hear from my accountant and my bookkeeper and my bean team is like, yeah, that's a good idea. We would want to know the score while the game is on. And so let's work together to make that so. Here's one reason why you might not be getting the information. You're making it too fancy. You're making it too fancy. We've got 18 divisions. We've got 32, buckets for income. Our chart of accounts is 6 pages long. We're making it too fancy. How simple could you make it? But at Mr. Electric, see, this is one of the great things about being part of the system. Do they have a recommended chart of accounts? Use it. Don't get fancy. Use the one that they're used to. They know this industry. That's going to help you. Does this make sense? Somebody else had a question. Did you have one that you wanted to share? Okay.
We make a pact not to talk about work after work. We don't talk about work.
Do you like that? Does that work for you?
It works great for us.
Some people, and again, this is a suggestion and a boundary. Some people love talking about it, but at some point you can say, I am shutting off, the work thing. I'm going to establish some boundaries around that. You might want to be present, right? Don't let this business suck the health out of you and the relationships out of you. That can happen. Thanks. Great info. Okay. What have you got?
There's a preferred vendor for Mr. Electric.
Yes.
Papers Express. To go from a monthly reconciliation to a weekly reconciliation, I think is about $150 a month more.
Oh, because what's your business?
You'll do your books weekly,
Okay.
monthly.
And this is a preferred vendor who will work with you. All right, and then again, as we talk about selling prices, who pays for everything in your business? Customer. The customer. So when you say, that looks like a great service, I'm going to raise my prices to accommodate what I want. Then I'm going to figure out how to add so much value to the transaction with my customers that they go, oh, he's expensive, she's expensive, but so worth it. But the customer pays for everything. Good answer. All right. All right, we're going to talk about the balance sheet and the profit and loss. And here's the thing. Bless you. The content here is small. You're not getting this information not because it's so hard. It's easy. All right, there's not that much to know when it comes to accounting. And here's another really cool thing. This equation, assets equals liabilities plus equity, on which the entire double entry accounting system is based, was figured out in the 1400s by some Italian philosopher. Boy, there's like a pepper explosion over in this. We're allergic to or something. So it was figured out once upon a time, and it's all based on an equation. What comes around goes around. For every action, there's a reaction. For every debit, there's a credit. Pretty darn cool. So that's the balance sheet. This is what it is. Take notes on this one. Assets is what you have. Liabilities, what you owe. And equity is the difference. So for instance, you're used to seeing this in your house. This is a way to teach someone how this works. If you were to create a balance sheet for the family business, same concept. Any business, any country, any dollar, personal work, it's all the same. It's so beautiful. So assets is your stuff. If you had a house and it was purchased for $500,000 and you have a $400,000 mortgage, your equity is how much? $100,000. That's it. Okay, so this is really good to know. Now, most of you are familiar with the profit and loss, and the profit and loss is going to be this complicated. Sales minus expenses equals a profit. And we look at this with dollars and percentages. We like to look at it with numbers and percentages, dollars and percentages. But when we charge more than it costs for stuff, we create a profit. Now, this changed my life. Isn't this ridiculous? Isn't this something we should teach your kids? Yes, you're even throwing your trophy on the ground. You're so excited about that. The eagle has landed. When you charge more than it costs for stuff, you manufacture money. If you have kids or grandkids and they're setting up that lemonade stand, there is nothing more liberating than that. Right? It costs them $1 to buy the lemonade. They sell it for $2 and they manufacture that dollar. Isn't that freedom? Right? But if you operate at a loss, what will happen is that you'll incur debt. In fact, let's go back here and share something really important. There's only 3 ways to grow your company. It's so easy to make money. There's only 3, maybe 4 ways, and I'm not going to tell you the 4th way until this after the second session. All right, but let me tell you the first 2 ways. Well, the first way is one way to grow your company. The game of business is to get more stuff. In the assets, we have cash, accounts receivable, which is a promise to pay cash. We have trucks, we have vehicles. Is this sounding familiar? We have stuff. And in the game of business, we want more stuff. More stuff to make more money, more stuff to take out of the company and live your life. Easy peasy. All right, so with assets, we want more stuff. Well, there's only 3 ways to grow assets, maybe 4. One way is we borrow money. So we buy this really cool truck and we get a truck loan. Assets go up, liabilities go up, it stays in balance. Are you with me? Say yes. All right, second way to grow assets is that you put money into the company, or you go on Shark Tank and Barbara Corcoran puts money into your company. So an owner invests in your company, and here's what would happen. Cash would go up, and then there will be a line in the equity section that says paid in capital, which means owner's investment. That line will go up to show where it came from. This balance sheet shows you what you have and who lays claim to it. I didn't know that, graduating from college at the top of my class and the degree in business administration. So one way to grow assets, increase liabilities. Another way to grow assets is to increase equity. And the third way, and the money for nothing chicks for free way, is to charge more than it costs and manufacture money. When you do, there is a line item in the equity section of your balance sheet that dovetails with the profit and loss. And it's called, in QuickBooks, does everybody use QuickBooks here? It's called in QuickBooks net income. It's really profit. I don't know why they call it net income. It's like an elbow or a 90 or a 45. Why do you do it? I don't know. Okay, just has that name. So that's, again, one of the things that you might not know about accounting is there's weird words. So you sit with your accountant and you say, what does that word mean? But in the equity section of the balance sheet, there's a dovetail point with the profit and loss that if you made a profit, equity goes up, assets have to go up. Is that you make it up. I'm sorry, I just get so excited about this. And that's how you know is from the balance sheet and the profit and loss, which are the 2 granddaddy scorecards. And every other financial report you're going to get is some subset of those 2. So look at those 2 and learn them. Everything you need to know is going to be on those 2. Those are the ones you ask for. Easy peasy. All right? So I got this from Warren Buffett. He's a smart guy. Now, if you've got your phones or your computers or anything else, or notepad, jot that down. ellenrohr.com is my website, /Mr. Electric. You can put your name and email address in, and you go on my mailing list. You can get off my mailing list, but don't get off before you download the freebies. I'm giving you a copy of Where Did the Money Go? It's got a glossary. It takes you through what a balance sheet is, what an income statement is. We're only going to have an hour together. This is a great gift. Right? Take home, share it with your team, share it with your kids. Bob Bird is this character I use. He's a plumber and he goes through the process of starting a business, and you see the effect of the transactions on the balance sheet, on the profit and loss. I've got some other cool stuff with a giveaway too, but make sure you take that. I love that you were taking a picture. So, are you operating at a KFP? Let me ask this question. You don't have to raise your hands, but this is what KFP stands for. A known financial position. KFP is a known financial position. And what that means is that you know what you have for assets, liabilities, equity, sales, expenses, profit. You know. You understand the financial reports and that they're delivered to you on a weekly basis. And then if you would, text me, email me, call me and say, Ellen, I'm a KFP, and I will applaud wildly. All right, I'm here to help. So you're going to start with your bean team. Now, I'm going to tell you how to have this bean team meeting, but again, it's a reminder. All I'm doing is telling you how to milk a cow. You don't have to milk the cow. If you're making tons of money, if your life is coming true, like the guy I talked about on my text this morning, ignore this. But this is the meeting I would have with my bean counters if I was not operating at a KFP, all right? So you're going to meet with them and you're going to say, the standard is I want to be able to read my financials once a week. Will you help me? And they should say yes. And you're going to review your financials together. Get on the same side of the table. Take a ruler or a piece of paper if it's hard for you to look at little lines on a piece of paper. That means it's 2:40. And so it's dance party. Anybody want to join me? Okay. Hands in the air. All right, no, what this is really meaning is that this is my chance to ask you what you want to do for time. All right, because I'm okay ending the first session at 2:50, but where's Kyle? Are you going to make the decision today? Okay, what do you think, Kyle?
I think
It's whatever you want to do is okay with me.
to continue for 10 minutes.
Okay?
Yes.
And we'll make it 3 o'clock.
Okay.
All right. Now, if you have to go to the bathroom, have you ever been in a car and they won't stop and you go to the bathroom? All right. 2:50
Yes.
is when we're going to end.
Yes.
Okay, then that's back to regular time. Okay, good deal. Then we'll get caught up again. How nice is that? All right, and then we're going to be back in here afterwards, right? After we take the break. All right, so you're going to review with your financials with your bean counter. Now, is there anyone here who is now or has ever been held hostage by their bean counter? Okay, this is where you sit down, and these are good questions for you to ask. If you see things, okay, you're a prisoner, and you don't have to be. Are you the bean counter? Have we talked before? You look so familiar. Maximum security prisoner. Okay, you could let go of this. We could talk at the break. Okay, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to notice. If your financials have these things, when I work with clients and they pay me a lot of money, I come to their shop and we go through this, but I don't want to do that. I want you to do it. You sit with your financials and you look, are there minus signs where nothing else is a minus sign? All right, is there a mixture of capital letters and misspellings? Is it tidy? Tidy's good, messy's bad. All right, other, miscellaneous. What do I ask when I see other? What is it? And you should too, right? And so drill down. In QuickBooks, you can click on it and see the transaction. Dig into this. Is it too long? Are there weird words that you don't understand? Here's my advice. I go through this. This is how sophisticated my systems are. I go through and I put a frowny face next to stuff I know that's wrong, a smiley face next to stuff that I know is right, and a question mark if I don't know. And now you're off to the races. And just get them current and right now. Without blaming, without judging, without whining, without going back to 2008. If you get audited, you're still on the hook. Just get it right now. Between now and the end of the year, get it right. Is that doable? Say yes, ma'am. Yeah, don't worry about it. Say to your accountant, am I going to go to the pokey? What am I going to the pokey for? I won't go to the pokey, then make it right now. I don't care if it was fuel or if it was advertising. Just get it caught up as of right now. It's too hard and takes too long to go backwards and fix this. Are you relating to this, right? Just get it right now, moving forward, and your goal is at the end of the year, every weird thing is exposed and fixed to some degree that you'll stay out of the pokey or cross your fingers, and then 2016 is going to be off to the races, new, fresh, beautiful. Okay, that's my encouragement. All right, when you operate from a KFP, you're going to sleep better. You're going to argue less. You're going to have more fun. You'll be able to measure progress. I'm going to encourage you to talk about the score at this one weekly meeting and see if you can make them better. Now, this is my son, Max, who absolutely hates it when I put this picture up. But isn't that what parents are for? Okay, so what if the numbers are no good? Well, then you put together a budget. Will Mr. Electric help you put together a budget? Will these guys sit with you and help you plug some numbers in? Do you know that if you put together a budget and you don't hit your budget, nobody comes and takes your dog? There is no negative consequence for not hitting your budget. Not if you're the owner. And if you're a team member, just saying, wouldn't it be fun to be in on the game? Would you love that? Wouldn't you like to know what the score is? Here is my hearty encouragement. Don't hog this information. Let the team in. Let them know. Some people are afraid to show them because the score isn't any good, but I got news for you. Who's going to fix it?
Team members.
The team members. Let them in. Let them play. Sales. Could you fix sales? Yeah. If you knew what labor as a percentage of sales was supposed to be according to goal, would we have a game? Could we create some bonus as a result? Yes! Your team will fix your problems, but they will want to see the score. So, I want to show you how to do that, and we've only got a few minutes, so let me put this together. The most important piece of your budget, if you're going to put together goals for sales and expenses, the budget does two cool things for us. Helps us set goals and it helps us come up with a selling price strategy, which we're going to dig into in session 2. But if your expenses, your number one expense is what? Labor, including your salary. All right, might I suggest you get a little greedier? Put in what you want. Sure makes it easy. Once I started paying myself at my husband's company, I whined less. This is what Frank Blau taught me. Look how easy this is. This is Frank, God bless him. He's about 105 years old now. I love him. He said, confront the numbers, get to KFP. Divide your total cost by the number of widgets you sell, your billable hour. We'll dig into this a little bit in the second session. Charge more than that and ignore what others do. So fun, so fun. The watermelon principle, okay. How many seeds does God put in a watermelon? A lot. How many seeds are required to continue the watermelon family? One. And one seed could create a plant that produces a lot of watermelon. So even God knows that stuff happens. Everywhere in nature is evidence of abundant planning. Does this make sense? Raise your prices because then you can make more mistakes. So much easier, right? Set your goal. It's just so much easier than trying to not make mistakes. Are you with me on this? All right, now let's see what I've got for time, and then I'm going to release you. I got 3 minutes. Oh, this is all we need to share this. You're going to get a copy. It's at ellenrohr.com. I don't expect you to read the small print, and you're going to see one. You can pull it up on your thing. But here's the primary elements of this form that I am excited to share with you. For those of you who are not the owners, but key employees like Steve here, it could be useful to show them the big rock score as well as you two. This is the standard. When you meet once a week, you guys might love this form because it's a one-page form. All right? The main numbers, the big rocks on one page. Who could get down with this? All right, instead of 65 pages and not knowing what you're looking at, 1 page. Now the supporting information would be available, but what I like to look at is what do I have for sales, expenses, and am I profitable, compared to budget, compared to year to date, compared to budget for the year. Maybe you want to look at last year. You can customize this. All right, and then down here, what do I have for cash? Cash to pay bills with. And why not share this information? Now, for some of you, this is going to be scary. And my encouragement is let your members of your team in on the game, right? Let them see what the score is. Because as they change their behaviors, as you come up with a game plan, as you run a sales contest or raise your prices or look for better insurance deals, as you play the game, you're going to see the evidence on the score. And what I encourage is that you let your team help you fix your problems. Now, is there anybody here showing information to their team just seems like, oh, are you crazy? Is this making you a little bit nervous? Great. We're going to leave that as a cliffhanger, okay? And I want you to think about that between now and our next session. And are we going to give something away?
We are.
Yay!
You are very prompt, by the way.
Well, we want to, yeah, and this is the thing. If you said $250 to me, I would be mentally punching out. So that's why I want to make sure I'm on time.
Well, hey, this is hitting us right between the eyes, isn't it?
Are you having fun? Yay! Okay, good.
Okay, so